Welcome to another riveting episode of Beyond Boundaries, where we bring you inspiring and insightful stories of leaders who are changing the landscape of education in India. Today with me, I have a very special guest. She is a teacher, a mentor, a principal, a guiding force behind the success of the Indian school. Her spirit is willing and her will is spirited. With that note, I'd like to introduce Principal Tania Joshi. Ma'am, it is an honor to have you at the show.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, ma'am. So, how would you say the transition from journalism to teaching in the education sphere has brought you?
Okay. So, there's no grand story and there's no grand calling that happened. The reality is that my husband is also a journalist. And when both of us were working in the Statesman, which again was a premier organization, and I very proudly state that we were the first batch of girls to be taken in to Statesman. So it was a big thing for me individually. And then we got married and we were blessed with a son. And that's the time then we had to take a decision that one of us has to change the career, because in journalism you have a lot of shift systems and everything. And I must say that my husband has always backed me. And we both sat and we said, okay, he said, if you want to continue with journalism, you can continue. And I said, no, I think I should change because you are not adaptable at all. So you continue with journalism and let me see what I can do. And being typical Punjabi parents, my parents were on my head and said, apply, B.Ed karo Annamalai se. And I was like, no, Dad, I don't want to do that at all. You can make me anything else, but not a teacher. But I think once I got into it, I have never looked back. I have given it not my 100, but my 500%. And at the end of, I still have a couple of years to go. I feel very satisfied.
Okay.
Because
that is very...
Yeah. And I have not cut corners. I have learned on the job. I had extremely good principals whom I have worked under. And I must say, students teach you a lot.
How did your journalism experience have helped you in your teaching life?
My subject was political science. And political science and journalism are interconnected. Absolutely interconnected. Even today, I ask my students before I start my lesson, that tell me any one news item that you have read in the newspaper today. And it's a must, because if the students are not aware about what is happening, how do they relate it to this?
Is it like self-awareness you're talking about, or in like general?
I'm talking about general awareness. Because if there is something happening and what they say is you go from local to national to global.
Yeah.
So you should be knowing what's happening in your city, what's happening in your country, what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And if you see the textbooks that we have, they are totally in relation to what's happening in the world, how you can relate to the world. So I think journalism helped me in that. Plus, journalism also gave me a flair of the language. It also taught me articulation, because I was working at the desk. So I know how to edit.
How to articulate thoughts, build narratives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what journalism has given me.
You mentioned about educating parents. So what in terms of education are we talking about? So in terms of focusing on their child's journey, how they approach or how they motivate them, what kind of feedback that they are giving their child and then getting from them. Because teachers and parents both have to work together in order to bring out a child to be successful in their endeavors. So what exactly?
So there's a term that everybody uses these days, holistic development. Now, holistic development can't take place if I am on one end of the road and the parents are on the other side. It has to be a teamwork. And I would say that, parenting has become very, very different from what I was when my parents were there, or when I was a mother and I looked after my son. It's very different. So, criticizing a teacher was just not done and not acceptable at our times at all. Now, at the drop of a hat, the parent is like, oh, the teacher said this. My child is traumatized by the teacher. The teacher didn't do this correct. At the end of the day, the teachers are human beings also. It's a tough journey. And I feel if the parents trust the school, trust the teacher, that is half the battle that is won.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if we are all the time loggerheads, who is going to suffer? It's the child that is going to suffer, not anybody else. Because, you see, the teacher's job is not easy. You're going into a class where there are 40 children from diverse backgrounds with diverse learning abilities. The teacher has to cater to all those 40 in the class. You as a parent are dealing with one.
You focus on one or two, but the teacher has to make sure that each child is given the same amount of attention,
right,
so that the whole class comes out to be a success.
Yeah. So I think somewhere down the line, the parents need to be told that, okay, hands off, let the teachers and the school do their job. Yes, the channel of communication should always be open. The school should not be that, okay, I'm not going to listen to this parent. Of course, if there's criticism, come to us, tell us what it is about. But don't talk in front of the child. When you belittle a teacher in front of the child also automatically feels that, okay, I can say...
Why should I listen to them?
Exactly. And that in the long run, because I tell my parents, the child is here with us for 14 years. After that, the child is going to be in totally unprotected environment.
Sure.
What are you going to do at that point of time? So we need to train the child right from the beginning itself.
And you cannot run at every stage with them, because for 14 years you're coming to the same school.
Right.
But once the child is out from the school, how many other people are you going to have the same argument or same feedback with?
Absolutely.
You cannot go one-on-one with each and every experience in their life. Any feedback or any advice that you got from a parent, and now that is something in your school policies, do you have some kind of...
So there are so many things. Like we have a very healthy PTA association, that is a parent-teacher association. There are certain parents who are chosen and who are elected, so they are part of this group, and they regularly keep giving us a feedback. So for example, when we have any kind of annual days or something, we take their assistance. So whether it means incorporating any idea from them, or helping us in dispersal of children, helping us in getting more children to participate. So all that is done by the parents. And when you ask me about parental advice, there are so many times when the parents come and give us advice, like this can be done, that can be done. And we try to inculcate as much as possible.
But there's that also to a limit, because if you start building on each and every, then what would be the time that you focus on your actual work?
Absolutely. And the other thing is, the parent thinks from a very narrow perspective. That is the perspective of me and my child.
Yeah.
But when we have to sit in school, we have to think
on a broader macro level.
Exactly. Yeah. So that comes in. But I think by and large, we have to, because I don't think a school can be functioning without actually listening to what the parents want.
How do you feel about, what do you feel about ambition? So, for example, let's say if I want to become a CEO, that's my ambition. But is it a positive? Because there are two perspectives, there are two sides of each coin, right? So one side would be negative, one would be positive. I want to become the CEO. And be like, oh, he wants to, just jump onto the top,
right,
without even, following or, doing the things that he has to do in his life. So what do you feel about ambition?
I feel ambition is very, very necessary. It's very necessary. Maybe some people might not agree with me, because they would say, no, ambition ruins a person. And if you don't get your ambition fulfilled, then you go down the drain mentally and all that. But you have to have a goal in life.
Yeah.
You can't be aimless. You just can't be aimless. So I feel it's very necessary. I always used to feel that my ambition is, before marriage, that I want to have a servant who just cleans my brass. It was that ambition. That went down the drain. But now when I see myself I've just completed 35 years of marriage recently, and I feel, and I look back on my journey and I feel, yeah, I've not done bad at all. I've been pretty good. So I tell my students also, when I joined this institution, I had asked a child, So what do you want to do? And she says, find a good husband. And I said, oh God, where am I? And now we have students who are vying for the best of colleges, best of careers. I talked to a 7th standard boy the other day and he says, ma'am, I want to be an entrepreneur. And that felt good. And that felt, yes, this is good work.
Ma'am, what future plans do you have for your school and then for yourself?
Me and my school, I always consider as one, because what the school has given me is my identity. I would say that if anybody knows me, or even if you're sitting here and interviewing me, is only because I'm the principal of the Indian school. So I feel that, yes, I would like my children to be more innovative. I would like my children to achieve higher heights and success, and be better citizens also. So being a better human being at the end of the day sometimes is more important than your academic scores. So I would like, again, using the same jargon, that there is a holistic development of my children. And if I see myself, I don't think about the future so much, because I like to live in the present. And if you keep thinking about the future and the past, then you lose what is there in the present.
I read about that you are a nature's person. You love nature, and I have read about your clean initiatives. There are many water harvesting programs in your school. There's solar energy panels inbuilt.
Right.
So could you talk about that as well?
So, long before things, we had the Delhi Government started with the happiness curriculum and all. Long before that, we had already taken the big initiative of having a citizenship program. So citizenship program has been conceived by Mrs. Madhvi Diwan, who was part of the management committee. And the main purpose was that the students have to identify not only about, with greed or whatever they need to get. It's also the responsibility. You don't just worry about the rights, you worry about responsibilities also. And one of the biggest and the most successful initiative that we undertook was cleaning up the Defence Colony market. And it is literally, my students had picked up dirt from the road and put it in the garbage cans. There were no garbage cans, in fact. So we were the ones who started this, and the local councillor did help us. So I think somewhere down the line, we have something called a Shramdan program through the citizenship thing, where children make things and it is sold regularly to the parents at the PTMs. And that money is then given to various NGOs. So we have various NGOs where children even go and work. So for example, if you've heard of an orphanage called Palna.
Okay.
So our students went there, and it's not only that they spent time with the kids, they painted one of the walls of the room. Then they were called again that, okay, paint another wall. So these are the kind of initiatives. This is something which is out of the box. It's not just spending time there and, saying, okay, we went to an orphanage, but it's actually doing something. And it has to be a regular process, not something which is a one-day type of thing.
What would be that one piece of advice that you have received from either your parents, your teachers, your mentors? And have you seen that advice working for you, or have you improvised on that?
Okay. So I'm very outspoken. And which was always, my parents also, plus even my mentors and everybody said, kind of calm down types. Yeah. And, you have to adapt to the situation, which I learned over the years. And I must say that this thing of adaptability really works wonders. So I can communicate with a person who's even a class 4 employee, or who's a teacher, or who's a principal, or who's anybody in government, because I have learned to adapt myself.
Does that mean going with the flow?
Going with the flow and developing the skills. Because, when you're talking to, when I name these people, you have to talk very differently with them.
Yeah.
And you have to adjust to what the situation demands. You cannot sit on a high horse and say, well, I'm the principal of X school and how dare you do this, or how dare you talk.
It will be very diplomatic.
Yes, absolutely.
What message do you have for your fellow educators, your teachers, and the whole educational landscape, be it India, outside India? Because we see teachers as one whole community. Every teacher has one role to make sure that their students are thriving in a safe environment, and they become what they achieve towards. So do you have a message for them?
So my only message to all the teachers would be honest to yourself, connect with your children, and have empathy. Because empathy is something which you could relate to, with each child. And that's very, very important. Because once you have that connect with your child, everything is sorted, everything is solved. And don't worry, it's not so bad. There's always ups and downs in life. So there are ups and downs in teaching. Just take it in your stride and move ahead.
So this is a fun round that we have. It's more like a rapid fire round where I will give you a word, and then you have to say out loud what first word or experience or a story that comes in your mind. So are you ready?
Ready.
So values.
Very important in life.
Moral values.
Debatable.
Debatable. Vision.
Necessary. Life cannot happen without a vision, and school has to have a vision.
Teachers.
The backbone of the country.
Parents.
Parents are most important, and I think they need to kind of relook at various aspects, whether it depends on their child or it depends about the school.
Assessment.
Necessary, but should not be in the traditional model. I think when you're assessing a child, you need to know what do you want to assess.
Olympiad.
Excellent.
Book publishing.
Again, that's very good, because without books, life cannot go on.
Technology.
Absolutely important, because technology is here to stay. So the more you shy away from technology, you will be left way, way behind.
Away from the world. So this would be the last one, personality and communication.
Absolutely necessary. And I think journalism helped me in not only communicating, but also shaped my personality. And I tell my children very often, as soon as you open your mouth, that is what the other side is going to judge you on.
Think before you speak.
Absolutely.
Well, with that note, we have come to the end segment of our show. Thank you, Principal Ma'am. You have given us your time. We had learned so much from your experience. We will try to imbibe to your experience into our lives and follow our future endeavors. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me here. And you are a very, very good host. You got a lovely voice. Use that.
Thank you.